I'm Michael Conti, an energetic man, a tall man, an above-average marketing virtuoso and proud Houstonian. Welcome to Chuffa, a podcast for smart, sexy people who love to have fun. Is that you? Yes, of course, it is you. Come on, welcome. My therapist told me that I'm a hummingbird, a strong, muscular hummingbird. So float with me as we cover it all. We're going to talk about marketing. We're going to talk about Houston. We're going to talk about food and what's hot right now and what bothers us. And we're going to interview someone interesting. We may even make a phone call and we will whisper together. It's going to be fun and it's going to feel fast. This isn't your Aunt Debbie's podcast and it's not your Uncle George's podcast. Is it your cousin Justin's podcast? Maybe, it depends. I don't know. What's his deal? Is this something he'd be into? It's worth a text. He is your favorite cousin after all. Here's the thing. Did you ask for this podcast? No. Do you need this podcast? Also no. But will you listen to this podcast again and again? Maybe? Yeah? Come on. I hope so. I need this. I'm a white man in my 40s. Please listen to my pod. So buckle up, bucko. Or don't. It's your life. Don't let a mid-podcast host dictate your life's buckling strategy. Life's short, so something YOLO. There are many important items to discuss, so let's dive right into the first segment. Welcome to Chuffa.
Pitch, bitch.
Hi, Sharks. My name is Mike Conti, and I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm seeking $69,069 in exchange for 6.9% of my company, Broga mats. Sharks, one day my woman wife asked me if I wanted to join her at a yoga class. Yoga? I said. What do you ladies do in them stretching classes anyway? Well, after a lot of convincing and a Bing.com search confirming that practicing yoga wouldn't revoke my man card, I finally joined her for a class. Sharks, I was absolutely blown away by the experience. Did you know that yoga can help improve your body and your mind? Yoga helped increase my groin flexibility. It improved my posture, which basically means I'm taller now. And I don't cry nearly as much at night when my hometown team loses the big game. It was an incredible experience, but with only one problem. My yoga mat had a flower print on it. The yoga mat designs of today are just not made with me in mind. It's all lazy dragonflies, calm koi fish, harmonious sun prints, and even pink lotus flowers. Sharks, on some yoga moves, your dong hovers only inches from the mat. I needed a mat that was made for me, which is why I founded Broga mats. Our yoga mats designs are made for anyone who loves aggressive imagery. Broga mat designs include images depicting a muscular man jumping out of a helicopter into a beach bar that has a sign out front that says, free beer. The casts of Goodfellas and Step Brothers, but they're at a pool party. A glass of whiskey and the ice looks like it's winking at you. A Doberman dog deadlifting a bunch of raw steaks. A shark driving an Audi and spinning a basketball in its fin, while lady sharks walking on the street nearby stare at him and knowingly whisper to each other. An injured ninja realizing that this is his last stand, but he's not afraid, and he's going to take out a ton of enemies to give his friends more time to escape. Iron Man putting on cologne while riding an American horse. Ray Lewis dancing with some ghouls. A volcano spewing, but instead of lava, it's spitting out shards of glass and F-150 trucks. And for my fellow Texas dads, an image of a bunch of bikini tops draped over a cowboy boot, which implies that you're both a country guy and a ladies' man. Broga mats are perfect for those of us that love yoga and always feeling tough. With your help, we'll be able to put a literal stranglehold on the $100 billion global yoga industry. So, Sharks, who's ready to namaste super rich by stretching their wallets open and investing in Broga mats?
End segment. Whispers.
Today's whisper is for the sales team at my company. Listen closely. It's Q4. It's the final quarter, and it's our bigger quarter. And you're holding all the cards, or should I say you're holding all the leads. They're good leads, I promise. We've got good products, and we've got people who want those products, and you need to sell the products to those people. You need to sell the hell out of them so I can get my bonus. I didn't mind when you ghosted my emails earlier in the year. Left them just sitting there alone, unread. I didn't mind. I didn't say anything when you hit me up on Slack at odd hours with dumbass questions. I answered them, didn't I? I answered every one. I answered them several different ways because I know it takes a few more times with you. When it comes to processing new information, you have to read it, then you have to hear it, then you have to ask questions about it, then you have to Slack me to confirm it, then you forget about it completely, and then we have to do that process 2 more times, and that's happened. You're done. You're ready. You're ready now. Sell. Listen, I liked your Topgolf posts that you put up there on LinkedIn. I even commented, looks like fun and a great way to network, Brad, to support you. And I know you didn't work a lot this summer. That's fine. That's okay. I get it. Your prospects were on a long vacation, so you took a long vacation. But now it's your time to shine. You've got to go out there and sell. I am whisper asking, please just close. Close business. Get those logos. Get those new logos. ABC. ABC. BC. CONTI needs his bonus. I've got kids that are learning to swim, Brad. Have you ever paid for swim lessons at Pengu? It's $27 for 10 minutes in the pool. I need to be able to pay for these lessons so these motherfucking kids can swim, Brad. And in this twisted relationship between marketing and sales, I am relying on you to get it done. So, Brad, please just close. Just close business, and we'll have such a good time with our bonuses.
End segment. Ministry of Munch.
Okay, we can start. Ready? Don't read my tweets or don't read my Slacks. Okay. Welcome to Ministry of Munch.
Thank you.
Ministry of Munch. Hold on, I haven't introduced you yet.
Oh.
Ministry of Munch is sponsored by Hunger. Did your wife make soup last night? Then you understand hunger. Combat hunger by listening closely to the Ministry of Munch, where we review a restaurant and talk about food. For this segment, I'm joined by my forever dinner companion, the graceful, the lovely, the sophisticated Dr. Elizabeth Conti. Hello, Elizabeth. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. That's a very nice intro.
Today, we're talking about La Lucha in the Heights. Mm-hmm. You and I have been to this restaurant several times, have we not?
Yes.
What are your general thoughts about La Lucha?
It's a place that doesn't feel like it should work. It's extremely random and very delicious.
I like that. So why don't you feel like it should work?
Because they have a very limited menu.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things on the menu are like kind of obscure seafood dishes. But I think if you get in the spirit of this being kind of a fun, southern, weird place to go, or if you like oysters, then it really works.
The menu is interesting because it really only has, it has fried chicken, it has a burger, it has oysters.
A burger.
And then they do have some seafood dishes that like some work and then some don't.
Yes.
You know? And and that's it. They don't.
And I feel like they probably added 5 dishes to the menu because people kept asking, like, is this it? Is this all the food that you have?
Yeah.
And I've heard people ask that question when we would go there years ago.
And I also think the vibe there is cool.
Oh, immaculate.
It's like a living room, like a 1970s living room. That doesn't sound very cool, but it is. It's very cool. Low ceilings. Eclectic, but a lot of fun. And then I think where La Lucha shines is in its versatility. At least from my perspective, because I've been there with out-of-towners. I feel like a lot of people come to Houston and they get the Tex-Mex and barbecue. Yeah. This feels like a very cool Houston spot that isn't one of these stereotypical barbecue and smoked meat type of places. I've been there on a date with you, and it has a nice feel to it, kind of a fun feel. And then we've also taken kids there, and it's been okay. It's been surprisingly okay with kids.
It is a high-end restaurant that works with kids.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it the most special for us right now.
Right now, yeah, because it feels like we can go there as a family and we feel a little bit cool. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Even though we've got a 2-year-old.
Let's talk about the kids menu.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's huge.
So what I need your listeners to understand is that for $10,
right,
you get French fries, which on the regular menu I think are $8 or $9.
Yeah.
Then you get a burger, which like their burger is what, like chopped brisket or something like that.
It's a phenomenal burger.
Like it's not
one of the best
regular
burgers in
ground
town.
beef. It's so good.
Yeah.
And then you get ice cream.
I know.
Which again on their dessert menu is at least $6, $8, $10.
Yeah. You go to a fast food place and you'll spend more than that for a really low quality meal.
Yeah.
And to get a really delicious burger and like a ton of fries and like really nice elevated, ice cream is cool.
Yeah.
Also, La Lucha did this. It's not on the regular menu, but we went once during restaurant week and they did an elevated like frosty and fries as a dessert.
A boozy frosty with French fries.
And it was so good. Yeah. It was honestly one of the most... I
still think about it.
I do too. I mean, this was over a year ago and it's one of the more memorable desserts I've had in my entire life.
Yeah.
And so that with a combination of, we love oysters. Sometimes you just need a dozen oysters. Let's talk a little bit about the drink menu because I think that they do a good job there.
Great, just delicious cocktails.
Yeah. I can't recommend La Lucha enough. Although I will say we have had some phases where we move away from La Lucha because we've had some less than ideal service experiences there.
Yeah, but rarely.
It's rare. And actually one of them worked out in our favor. Do you remember when we went?
Oh, yeah.
And we got a full chicken. There were like 2 or 3 pieces left, and we were planning to take those home, but somebody cleared it, and we were like, "Hey, where's our chicken?
We were going to eat that.
We were going to eat that." And they're like, "Oh, sorry, we threw it out. So here is a coupon for an entire free chicken the next time you're here."
Yeah, and we did use it.
That was a great experience. So no, like the other thing is, this is the point that I was talking about with somebody else recently. Is Houston's restaurant scene is awesome. And there are a lot of really high caliber, higher price point restaurants. And we've spent a lot more money at a restaurant and had a lot less fun than we do at La Lucha. Yeah. It's just a high caliber. Not to say it's not inexpensive, but you can spend $100, $200, $300 more and really just not have as good of a time as we have at La Lucha. So it has my Ministry of Munch seal of approval. Does it have your Ministry of Munch seal of approval?
Yes.
What is a famous Houstonian that you would like to go to La Lucha with?
I mean, I don't really have a desire to eat with anyone famous.
Oh, interesting. Nobody?
No.
Too much pressure?
It's just too awkward.
Okay.
Yeah.
What?
I just want to leave them alone. But I think...
What if you were at the restaurant and you were like to look across the restaurant and see a famous person
to see
there?
Someone?
A famous Houstonian there, yeah.
A famous Houstonian?
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it doesn't have to be a famous Houstonian, but I think it's more likely that a famous Houstonian is there.
No, we saw an Astro at Cultivare. Which is another great Heights
we
area
saw
restaurant.
Lance McCullers Jr. at Cultivar. Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, he has opened up a new restaurant in the Heights.
Oh, wow.
That we have to check out. It's called Maven. So maybe next pod we'll check. We'll explore that.
I mean, I think if we were there with the fam and Jose Altuve was there with the fam, I think that like the kids would get excited and we would all get excited about that.
Right. Being family friends with the Altuves is pretty much my dream in life. So that would be great. I'd love for that to go down at La Lucha.
I don't know that many famous Houstonians.
There's Beyonce. There's Meg Thee Stallion.
Well,
there's
but
really
Beyonce's just too obvious.
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, you could go Brene Brown.
That would be cool.
Okay.
That would be cool.
Okay.
Because I feel like she would eat there.
Okay. I don't know her as well as you do.
She would eat there and she would relish it.
Ooh, okay. All right. Well, we want to meet with Brene Brown. No, we don't. We don't want to. We don't want to interact.
I just want her
them.
to enjoy herself.
Right. Yes, we want to see her at the restaurant and enjoying a lovely meal while we are doing the same. Okay. All right. For that, I agree. All right. This has been Ministry of Munch. Check out La Lucha the Heights.
End segment. Boring prank call.
Please leave your message for
Michael with Budget Pest Control.
Hey, Mike. My name is Mike. Nice to meet you. Anyways, I've got a rat situation here. The situation is there are rats in my home office, and I don't really like that, Mike, as you could imagine. I think they got in last night. We had some soup, got a little bit crazy. So I left the soup out. I didn't wash the dishes, and there's just bread bowls and soup everywhere. And the rats found their way in. They forced their way in. I don't know how, but they got in, and they're in my home office now. So would love for you to help me remediate this. And so hoping that you can work with urgency, because my work day is ruined. And then the other thing is, this, since I work from home, technically this is my office. And so I was also going to ask if you could, see if you could invoice my employer, since technically this is their problem, and they're on the hook for the money, the bill. So anyways, give me a call back when you have a chance, and I can throw you my address and you can run over and we can resolve the rat situation. But hope you're having a great day. I found you on Yelp, by the way, yelp.com. Great website for searching. And so wanted to, let you know that that's how I found you. So, okay, I guess I'll see you soon. Bye, Mike. Okay.
End segment? You sure about that?
All right. In You Sure About That segment, we look at a company, a brand, a product, maybe a person who's in the spotlight, but maybe not for the right reason when we ask, you sure about that? And today we're going to talk about a brand that I used to ride with for decades. Kroger. Kroger, what are we doing here? What's going on? You've been bugging the hell out of me for years for a few different reasons. And so I got to ask, you sure about that? Let's first talk about your stores. I shop at 2 older Kroger locations in the Heights neighborhood here in Houston, off of 11th and 20th, if you're interested. The only effort I have seen to upgrade or to improve the physical space has been swapping out the branding. So Kroger made sure that the logos on the front of the building went from that dark blue logo to the new light blue logo. I just need a little bit of investment in the actual store. Your shit feels old, and not in the nostalgic, like, oh, this has been in the neighborhood for decades kind of way. It feels a little bit like, this is grimy. Is this a building where I want to buy food and take this home to feed my family in? So upgrading the logo has been about the biggest improvement I have seen to the physical buildings. So branding over everything, I get it. I am a marketing guy. Like, I understand the importance of a brand. But let's talk about brand a little bit more, because this is also something that's been bugging me. I want to talk about those cartoon characters that Kroger introduced a few years ago. So from their website, Kroger calls them Krogy characters. Krogy stands for Kroger plus emoji. They jam those 2 words together to invite Krogy. And so for those that aren't familiar, Krogy are these animated cartoon characters. Kroger's website describes them as relatable, inclusive, optimistic, and fun. They feel like they were pulled right out of a 1960s stop motion movie, something like that, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And I just don't understand who this is for. This isn't my best take because I know there are successes with this. But for me, unless your audience is primarily kids, why rock with cartoon branding? I'm an adult. I don't want a cartoon to sell me food for my family. So personally, these Krogies make me like Kroger less. Now, there was one big swing that Kroger took. I referenced earlier that there haven't been any improvement. There was an attempt at something new, but man, did it miss. So Kroger opened up a ghost kitchen called Mix, M-I-X, fun, all caps, in one of the stores that I shop at. And they dedicated a good 1,500 square feet of the store. They just carved out this huge chunk of space to dedicate to a ghost kitchen where you could buy takeout food from past their prime chains like Fuddruckers and Buca de Beppo, brands that for me have not been relevant in years. And they put this in the Heights, which is one of Houston's best food neighborhoods. A restaurant called Loro is literally across the street. Loro is owned by Aaron Franklin of Franklin Barbecue fame and Tyson Cole of Uchi, which are just these like masterful chefs that created this awesome spot that's right across the street. And there are a ton of great food options within walking distance. So who's out there saying, hey, let's skip out on Loro, babe? I grabbed some bad spaghetti from the one guy in the kitchen at Kroger who's cooking for like 12 brands at the back of the Kroger there. So it unsurprisingly did not last. I would shop there dozens of times and I never saw a single person make an order. And what is even worse about this attempt is it just felt so tone deaf right after H-E-B moved into the neighborhood. And so for those of you that don't know, H-E-B prides itself on adapting to neighborhoods and communities that they serve. So for example, if there's like a strong Vietnamese population in an area, the H-E-B in the area will stock more ingredients and products for them. So they listen to their customers. And it just felt like Kroger was looking for another revenue stream. I can envision the corporate meeting that took place that said, let's go with Buca de Beppo. Let's throw some spaghetti on the wall and just collect that money. And it just didn't work. So for me, here's the kicker. The ultimate deal breaker, the reason I broke up with Kroger was car carts. Yes, car carts. The shopping carts that are shaped like cars. Listen, my kids absolutely love them. Kroger's fleet of car carts were nasty, like their buildings, falling apart. There were only a few of them. You had to like fight in the parking lot for the few remaining car carts that there were with other parents. Meanwhile, H-E-B has a new, shiny, well-maintained fleet of car carts, and my kids loved them. And so I'd pick them up after school. We need to pick up a few things for dinner, and they'd push for H-E-B. And I thought, okay, all right, listen, they'll sit in their car cart. They'll be happy. I'll be able to shop. So eventually I got acclimated to shopping there. And now I prefer H-E-B over Kroger. I was willing to ride with Kroger beyond the grimy buildings and the mix kitchen thing. However, the car cart was what ultimately did them in. I'm spending thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars with H-E-B now. Why? Because my kids like the car carts. It just feels like Kroger wasn't listening or thinking about its customers. No one asked for mix. No one asked for Krogi. I just wanted a functional, clean store and an experience that didn't feel like an afterthought for me and my family. And I wanted some damn car carts. We all did. Kroger reported an operating profit of $912 million in this last quarter alone. With that kind of cash, that's car cart cash. Say that 5 times fast. Car cart cash, car cart cash, car cart cash, car cart cash, car cart cash. So Kroger, I did it. Kroger, I gotta ask, you sure about that? Are you sure about that?
End segment. Websites for sale.
A website is a digital home for your business, and every business deserves a good home. So, like a real estate agent for URLs, it's my job to inform you that the following 10 digital homes are available today for your business. Snag them up before it's too late. Do you hear me? Snag them. Number one, LadiesOnlySportsClips.com. Number two, DiscountedRabbitMeat.biz. Number three, PreOwnedTowels.com. Number four, LingeringInTheLimo.net. Number five, ScienceDaddy.com. Number six, VasectomyInfluencer.com. Number seven, HoustonOnline.online. Number eight, I'm sorry I don't party.com. Number nine, UncleJeremy.art. Stupid. Number 10, whatafalafel.com. Like what a burger, but whatafalafel.com. These are great 10 URLs, folks. You got to snag them. You got to suck them up. You got to use them. These are your digital homes now. These are great business ideas. You're welcome.
End segment. Big Leaguer.
Big Leaguer is where we're joined by someone at the peak of their powers, someone who has reached a high level of accomplishment in their field. And we talk with them in hopes their insight propels our marketing, sales, art, and business acumen forward. Today, we're joined by Ahmed Saleh, a Houstonian extraordinaire. He's worked for a lot of household names in energy and finance fields. He's currently seeking his next opportunity, but was most recently the CFO of Pinion Resources. So, Mike, you're probably wondering, I thought this segment was about someone at the peak of their powers. So why are you interviewing an unemployed guy? Well, dear listener, it's because in late 2023, Ahmed and his team successfully sold Pinion Resources in a digit deal. Ahmed, welcome. Congratulations. Happy to have you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate the opportunity, Mike, and thrilled to be part of this exciting conversation.
First question, how much of your career success do you directly attribute to me?
Yeah.
We've known each other since grade school. We roomed together in college. We pushed each other in our studies. So what percentage would you say?
Well, you witnessed
30?
one of my first business deals, actually. You might remember how that came to be, but I believe it was a grade school fight over what was a 50-cent ice cream sandwiches. It was a 35-cent ice cream sandwich, and I think if I remember correctly, it was your friend Alan.
Yes.
And he made an offer to me that I thought was ridiculous.
He paid, you had sandwiches in hand rather than waiting in line because Alan saw that the ice cream sandwich quantity was diminishing. He said, I'm going to go to somebody in the front of the line who has ice cream sandwiches and I'm going to buy it at additional cost. You thought that Alan was being lazy.
Right.
And you were like, wow, this is my chance to net 30 cents.
Exactly. So I made a fantastic profit, but then when I went back to the line, they were sold out. So I threw a fit. I threw an absolute fit. And I, of course, did the responsible thing. A tattletale. And a teacher came over, scolded Alan. I got my money. I kept my money. I offered the money back to Alan. He's keep it, chump. And I got the ice cream sandwich.
Yeah, that was on it. Yeah. So ever since then, you've really been making great business deals.
Yeah.
At a very early age, it starts.
Yeah. I guess that counts for a big percentage there, Mike.
It does. Okay. So Ahmed has a really compelling entrepreneur story to tell, but I wanted to focus on you and your professional strengths. And so I wanted to go back a little bit because you were a successful mechanical engineer. You're making good money, tons of job security. Why the decision to pursue finance? Why not just focus on engineering?
Yeah, that's a great question. So initially, when I was in college, finance, investment banking, foreign language to me, didn't even cross my mind as a career opportunity. So my first job, just very pure mechanical engineering, designing oil field equipment and oil field tools for a very big oil and gas company, Schlumberger, now called SLB. I did that for several years, and then, like many of us working in any given industry, moved tangentially to other parts of the sector of the industry. So I eventually ended up working at Shell. And so within that role at Shell, at one point I was asked to go work in a group where they were looking at acquiring different properties. And as an engineer, what I was working on was helping Shell look at data from other companies and to use that data to help us make decisions on where we wanted to buy land and grow the company and so on and so forth. And so during that time, the industry was going through a transformational period, the whole country, where fracking and the shale revolution was taking off for the first time. This is around 2007, 2008. And a lot of the investment banks who help the oil and gas companies do these types of analyses and help them do transactions when they buy land, they desperately needed people that had those kinds of skills. When I went to do my MBA, the investment banks started reaching out to me and people like me who had those skill sets.
Okay.
And so when I looked at the types of opportunities that were in front of me, I'd never thought about leaving the oil and gas companies that I was working for at the time. But then the investment banking opportunity set presented itself and was really attractive. I was very young at the time, and I was like, I don't need to sleep, and ended up joining a bank here in Houston in 2012 called Tudor Pickering Holt. And it was during a period of time when there was just nonstop transaction activity. For me, it was like the perfect set of financial skills needed and technical skills needed based on what I had done previously. And so for me, that was a perfect natural fit, and it made complete sense.
That's interesting. How motivated were you? Did you have mentors helping assist in that decision to transition, or was that self-propelled?
No, there were definitely mentors. On the work side, definitely had mentors within the company. And to Shell's credit, they did an extremely good job of not just coaching, but some of the more senior people who I was lucky to work with and under. They were very good about giving me advice and guidance and saying, these are the things you need to do and balance. Yeah. But it was never with the view of, oh, have you considered a finance career? Because so much of it was more petroleum engineering driven. Right. Where the finance mentorship came from an unexpected source. And just my little bit of background, my family's very academic, sciences. And my mom and dad are both professors. My sister is a professor. And so when I was younger, before I even went to business school, I was like, maybe I'll go at one point do a PhD in engineering and be a professor somewhere. Yeah. And I remember telling two of my cousins who I'm very close to, and those cousins are business professionals, business people, and they were like, what? Are you crazy? Absolutely not. You need to work in management consulting or private equity or investment banking and something like that. And so at the time I was like, what are you talking about? So that honestly was a transformative conversation. Okay. And I would say really put that for me within like the scope of opportunities that I needed to consider. Yeah. And those cousins continue to be mentors for me until this day. So that was probably the biggest driving force in that. Interesting. In that pivot. And that's, so we have a close personal relationship, but I've known you for a long time. And it's funny because you've reinvented yourself. And what I mean by that is you were a very proud engineer. Was it scary at all to leave that persona behind? You know what I mean? Yeah, I definitely think at least for me, the feeling of going into investment banking, there was definitely a fear of failure. So there was a little bit of that kind of fear going into it. Yeah. Also, the cultural fit is very different from working in an engineering structured environment, especially at a very big company. Yeah. So there was that big sort of leap of faith that I had to overcome. Yeah. And I would say the transition, while I wouldn't say it was hard, but it was definitely an adjustment. Okay. That took some getting used to. Yeah. But I would say that was a big consideration for me, that I really had to think about it before I decided to make that leap. Did you have any failures during that stretch that made you, regret or doubt the decision to move forward? Or was it a relatively smooth transition to finance? There was a couple of working on holidays and missing vacations and canceling obligations, those kinds of things. I wouldn't say regret, but man, you really gotta want it. Yeah, and you gotta really be extremely motivated. Right, and there are cases where there were people who, I remember having conversations with people after I had made the jump over, and in the recruiting and interviewing process, telling people like, hey, I was in your shoes working at a company having a relatively stable structure. That's going to be very different. And then people saying, hey, I get it. And then they come over and they would quit 3 months later. Right. Yes. So, yeah. And so I think there's a difference. That's not rare. Yeah. It's not rare, and it happens frequently. And I think it's really hard to try to visualize how your life could be, career work-life balance after making a transition. Yeah. So any job that you're considering, it's really hard to try to visualize what does that actually mean
Right.
if you do this, if you do that. So whether it's like moving to a different city or joining a different team or a difference in your hours, it's really hard to actually like think about what does that mean for my life. And so for me, I think luckily it was something that I really was prepared for and thought about.
Okay.
And luckily I didn't have family obligations, a wife or kids. I could stay late at the office anytime I wanted without having to worry too much about that.
I feel like with career decisions career transitions, there's this, when you're in the new thing, there's this period where you have to prove yourself again, and that can be scary. Was there a moment where, or a project or something where you said, okay, like I can do this, something that signaled you're beyond the transition period?
I immediately felt that I could contribute.
Okay.
Which felt really good.
Yeah.
I immediately felt welcomed by the team.
Yeah.
From the first project I got to be on, like from day one, I was assigned on multiple things. So I never felt like I was idle and not busy. And so just by virtue of that, I felt extremely lucky and that I was in the right place.
Okay.
And if there was ever a case where I didn't know what I was doing, there was always someone who could help me.
Okay.
So it was it was like being on a sports team.
Right.
The level of collaboration
Sure.
and coaching from some of the senior people. Like you get that, it was that type of mentality. It really felt like being on a team. And that approach for me, and being on a sports team is very stressful, right? Getting better, training, show up, that kind of mentality. You have to wake up every single day, like really thinking about what are you going to do today? What are you going to do tomorrow? Yeah. And I really enjoyed that aspect of work, but it can obviously contribute to fatigue and being overworked, and you also need to take a break from that. Yeah. And that's really important. And that was really hard to do as well, because that's not really built into how those projects are structured. Okay. And that's any client serving business. That's really hard to balance.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you've transitioned. You're now in this world, and it was a few years, and then you basically decided, hey, do my own thing. What was the precipice for that? The onus was it like, hey, listen, like I know I have the skill set.
I definitely didn't know about having any of the skills that I needed to have, but maybe that goes back to the engineering thing is at least when you're a mechanical engineering student, the mindset that I think a lot of mechanical engineers have, and I think this is a really valuable thing, is that, well, in mechanical engineers are involved with everything that you have in your house around you or anywhere you go is a mechanical engineer touched it in some way. Right. So you have this mentality that you can quote unquote do anything. Yeah, that's an exaggeration. Okay, so in my mind, I'm like mechanical engineering. Okay, now I'm doing like financial engineering, so to speak, in the form of acquisitions and divestitures. And so after spent about 6 years in investment banking. Yeah. And one of the best aspects of that kind of job is that you meet so many people from so many different companies, whether they're clients or companies that you pitched or companies that you tried to do transactions with on behalf of your clients. So one of the clients that we did work for, one of the guys who worked there was this guy named Doug Schmidt, and we became really good friends after that. And so Doug and I always stayed in touch, and eventually he gave me a call, and he was like, hey man, just want to give you a heads up because me and another buddy, we've got some really good ideas, and we're really excited about a few things here. What do you think about that? I'm like, man, best of luck. That sounds super cool.
Thumbs up, bro.
Want to join? What do you but I need a few months to work a few things out here. Got a bonus coming, that kind of thing. They eventually came to Houston. There's this big conference every year called NAPE. And so Doug came to Houston, and I was like, man, I think it'd be awesome if I could join you guys and be part of the team, and the rest is history, so to speak.
This transitions perfectly into another point, because from my perspective, one of your superpowers is the ability to build and maintain a powerful network, both personally and professionally. And so I'm curious about this. Do you have a philosophy on network building, or is it just something that you're just naturally gifted at?
That's a great question. I think it's just something that's inherent in how I just behave. I'm a very extroverted person.
You are, right.
And it's funny, I don't know if you've ever done like a personality test. I'll never forget this. I took a Myers-Briggs personality test, and like I scored like on the highest ranking you could for extroversion or preference for extroversion. Okay. And so I think I just have a very big family. Right. And as far as I can remember, just there's no like family event where just like not like you have like 50 people like running around just being extremely social and outgoing. So I think it's just inherent in me. And so I wouldn't say there's any method or purpose to it, except that it's just like, that's just how I behave in any setting.
Right.
And so I think that just naturally leads to a lot of opportunities. And
it does. Okay.
If you're working in investment banking, that's obviously something that could be very helpful.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to broker deals or find clients, and in this case, it led to what ended up becoming a very good friendship, and B, that friendship led to a great business partner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ever intentional about how you network? Let's say you're at NAPE or another conference. Will you have a target set of people or organizations where you say, hey, I'm going to try to intentionally meet with these people? Or is it completely, hey, listen, I'm going to do my thing. I'm an extrovert. I'm going to have a great time and see what happens?
No, it depends on the circumstance. And there are certain cases, let's say you're going to some kind of conference, an event. If there's a specific group that is going to be there and they could be a potential capital provider, no doubt, seek them out and introduce myself.
Yeah.
So there is some organization and a heads up to it. So it's more of just being prepared to be like, who are the kinds of groups I want to? And for the most part, when you go to these events, I was like, oh yeah, I know this group. I know of them, or I might know them personally, and then go versus having a conversation for 30 minutes with a good friend who I already know very well. Hey, sorry, I got to go say hi to this person. And go make that connection.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting, because a lot of people don't make that detachment from somebody else to go proactively seek out something else.
Yeah, and it's awkward because you could be having it's easy if it's a conversation and it's like you don't want to be in and like you know gotta make an excuse and it's a fact of life you have to do. You might be having a fantastic conversation with an old friend who you generally want to catch up with.
Yeah, sure.
But you could do that any other time.
Yeah.
So you do have to be a little bit disciplined when you're at these events.
Do.
People go to those events. Yes, to have fun and socialize, but there is a component of, hey, let me go talk to that person. Let me tell them what I'm working on and then get a meeting out of it.
Yeah.
Or it gives me an excuse to email them and say, hey, great seeing you. We'd love to swing by our office next week and share with you a few deals or something like that.
No, it's that detachment is important. And I'm not an extrovert. I feel like I sit right on the line of extrovert and introvert. And for me, I have good days of networking and bad days of networking where I just sit and talk with the two people I know in the room.
Yeah.
And then other days where I feel like I have to intentionally flip that switch. And then I'm comfortable once I'm engaging and interacting with people. Yeah. It's not difficult for me, but it is something that I have to be a little bit more mindful on. Okay. Another thing I wanted to dive into with you was your ability to pitch. You're a great storyteller. And so I want to know, what does a good pitch look like from your perspective, and what's driven you to have those good pitches?
The ability to tell a good pitch is fundamentally has to come down to obviously a good idea, but we're doing it in a way that was a little bit different than what many others were doing at the time. And specifically speaking,
so there was a uniqueness to what you guys were pitching.
And that uniqueness was we were going to an area where at the time, no one else was drilling wells within this area, within this whole county, at least horizontal wells. And so there was a little bit of, some would call it exploration. We hesitate to call it exploration because there was already a lot of existing wells in the area, but they were drilled in the 1950s and 60s. Drilled vertically. And so the difference is there's an old saying, the best place to find oil is an oil field. And so we were literally drilling oil wells in between these old prolific oil fields that were drilled vertically. So for us, the technical and geologic concepts felt very, very conservative from a risk perspective.
Okay.
But when we go pitch that to potential capital providers, they didn't see it that way because no one else was doing it. They don't want to be the first. And so we had to pitch many times. Mm-hmm. And many times we were told it's too risky.
Right.
There's not enough information, enough data. And so eventually we could have changed our story. We could have went to a different idea, a different area. But we had conviction, and we eventually found the right investors who agreed with us.
Okay, so I want to talk about that. How much did your pitch change from a percentage? What was it? Hey, listen, like this is the same story. We're going to just tell it until somebody sees the vision. Or is it, hey, listen, like this part of the story that we're telling here, let's just adjust it a little bit. How much evolved as you went from meeting to meeting?
I think I would say it got polished and maybe slightly improved, but I would say 5%.
Okay.
I would say the overall pitch stayed pretty much down the same fairway where it initially started.
Yeah.
But we talked to so many different groups.
Okay.
Many different groups that eventually all it takes is one.
Yeah.
So
This is a logistical question, but how much of your talk track when you go into a meeting, like how much is that planned? Is it 100%? Meaning like more or less like I have a script, I know exactly what I'm going to say, or is it, hey, let's see what the tone in the room is, let's evolve?
we know this stuff so well because we spend so much time and thought into it. I wouldn't say there's a script, but we definitely follow. It's a printed out pitch deck, and so we're following what's on the page. We're not reading from the page because that's not engaging. We're looking everyone in the eye and having direct conversations.
Right.
But we're memorized what we're gonna say and how we're gonna say it and how we phrase it to make it easier for the audience to listen along and digest it, because it's very complex.
Yeah.
The kinds of things that we're sharing, because we're talking about geoscience, we're talking about pipeline agreements, we're talking about macroeconomic things that could affect oil and gas prices. So it's just such a broad, we're talking about history, like how this land came to be. We're talking about geology from 70 million years ago. We're just having such and that's what I love about the oil and gas industry. We're talking about so many unrelated things that come in and affect what this is.
Yeah. Have you ever been in the middle of a pitch and felt like these guys aren't understanding this at this level, and so you try to scale back
there
the
have
story?
been cases where we've spoken to specific groups who haven't had a lot of oil and gas specific investment experience, and that they'd be upfront with us and be like, hey, just so you know, like we've invested in all kinds of other huge industries, but not necessarily oil and gas. So when it's that kind of presentation, then we adjust how much detail that we get into. And whenever there is a group like that, typically they'll hire a consultant to help them get into the weeds. But for the most part, the groups we've talked with have always been very specialized, dedicated, industry-specific investors. Yeah. Almost always in these groups, there's a couple of technical professionals and finance professionals. And so they're able to, their acumen, they're very much on tune with all the...
So the meetings where it's been a success, when you've ultimately earned some capital as a result of the meeting, do you know in the moment, do you leave that boardroom and say, hell yeah, you know what I mean? Or is it not that easy to determine how it went?
You immediately know if it went badly.
Okay.
A lot of times you'll leave, it could be the best feeling meeting, and then sometimes you get ghosted. Yeah, right. Sometimes they say thank you. You never hear back. It's like dating. You
never,
Yeah. Sometimes they follow up with a ton of questions, and you spend a lot of follow-up meetings, that kind of stuff, and it just gets stuck. So it's very difficult because I think, and I can see why this happens. You can get a lot of positive feedback. Everything was great, but eventually we can't do this because we're busy with other deals. Right. Previously existed.
Did you have any initial no's that turned into yeses? Just thinking about objective handling and things from a traditional sales.
No, but there's always be positive and don't take anything personally was one thing we tried really hard to do, and always keep following up with groups and keeping that dialogue open.
I love it. I have been impressed with your mindset and personal habits since college, really. You were laser focused. You were able to deal with a high level of stress even as a 20-year-old. So do you have any habits or routines that you credit for keeping you focused, especially during high pressure situations?
What's interesting about that's a great question. Thank you for saying that, by the way.
Yeah, it's true.
I think when it comes to stress and handling that, everyone reacts to those things differently. And I even look at it like from the way I spend my free time is that I love being very busy. And I think for me is that, and I think what happens is when I'm that busy, and it might probably be problematic sometimes, I don't think too far ahead because I'm always so busy. I'm like, oh, there is a deadline happening, something I should do now. And so what that means is that sometimes I'm just so focused on the then and there, living in the moment. And when I'm like that, I'm almost too busy to worry about all of the things that could go horribly wrong down the line.
Okay.
And so to not dwell on the negatives of if all these terrible things can happen. Yeah. And so I think for me, that's been a really important lesson is you can't just be optimistic. Like you have to be methodical and plan for success and do active things to make it happen. But for me, it's just have many different layers and paths that if several of them fail, but one of them is still successful, then you'll still be okay.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Your interview is not over, however. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Chuffa is the name of this podcast, named after the title of my yet-to-be-written movie about a robot on the fritz, a grieving old man, and a record-breaking domino event. It's a nonsense word, and I like the way it sounds. Chuffa. And now, guests, it's time for you to answer our 5 active-fire Chuffa acrostic questions. You'll be presented with 2 choices for each letter. C-H-U-F-F-A. Once you select a question, there's no backsies. You must answer the question you picked or you'll be triple banned from the Chuffa platform. If your answer drags out, I will buzz you. I don't have the bandwidth to tightly edit your answers, so keep it simple. Okay. We start with C. Cheeky or challenger?
Challenger.
Ooh. All right. How do you justify punching holes in the Permian with climate change, such a big topic these days?
Because climate change can be overcome.
Ooh, that's okay. You're keeping it tight. I like. All right. For H, Houston or humbled?
Houston, of course.
How has being a Houstonian shaped you as a professional?
Oh, man. Hustle City. Everyone here is getting after it all the time.
I love it. You, unusual or uplifting?
Unusual.
Pretend you're speaking with a Japanese businessman with an extreme ear sensitivity issue, and he's visiting Houston for the first time. Using your microphone, recommend to him where you think he should dine in town.
Hello, Michael-san.
Right.
I would like to take you to
Remember, he's got an ear sensitivity.
Michael-san, would you like to go to El Tiempo with me? If we have fajitas, you will love them.
What? Do they have any drinks there?
Yes.
I've never had a margarita before in Tokyo. All right, great. F, fun or flawed?
Oof. Let's do fun.
Tell us your favorite pod-friendly story about your interviewer, Mike Conti.
Oh, man. There was this great time in college where we were all living together.
Uh-huh.
Our roommate, Dean, yourself, and I were living at was probably one of the nicest apartments in
3200
Austin
Duval
that we had no business living at.
Uh-huh.
And I think he went to some black tie event. And anyways, he told us
Zeta, it was like a Zeta formal or something like that.
Yeah, so you had asked us to. This was obviously before Uber and anything like that. So you had called up Dean to pick you up. So I'm like, I was like, yeah, I'll tag along. And he told us to bring you some knives. And so we're like, all right. So we brought some knives, some like steak knives from the kitchen, and we showed up at the bus stop, and you pour out of this like completely packed city bus full of UT students. We were wearing a tuxedo. You come over and you're smiling, and you're like, hey, where are those knives? You grab one of the knives and then you wave it back at the bus. And you just like, see, I told you. And anyways, yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, that was, I forgot about that one. Somehow I blocked that one out. But all right, that is a good one. All right, we've got, Chuffa says 2 Fs. So you've got flaunt or future.
Future.
What's next for you?
My colleagues and I from Pinion, we took a lot of time and we got really creative. So we thought about what we did in the past and what we want to do in the future. So we have decided to start a new business, and we're calling that business Pinion 2. And if you can believe it, we're going to do oil and gas in the Permian Basin. So that's what we're doing next.
Awesome. All right, last one, advert or advice?
Ooh, advice.
What advice would you give to someone considering making a big leap or change in their career?
Do it, but don't do anything too crazy, because I think a lot of people want to do a change and say it'll all work out. You got to have a really good idea, and you got to know how you're going to actually execute on it. Don't go start a business just for the sake of saying you're an entrepreneur or a founder. So yeah, that's my advice.
Ahmed, Saleh, thank you very much for joining Chuffa and our Big Leaguer segment.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
It was a fun time.
End segment. Boring prank call.
Thank you for calling Indulgent Chef Services. We're currently with a client or cooking, but please leave us a voicemail with details about what type of services you're looking for.
Sure.
Or for faster service, send us a text message to this number. We look forward to cooking for you and working with you.
Hi, this is Frank Vance. I am the executive assistant to Miss Bowers of the Amalthea Corporation, reaching out about a relatively urgent catering request. So Miss Bowers is hosting a very high-level executive lunch next Tuesday. 15 executives, big discussions, major decisions. We want a lunch that fuels the room. She is thinking something on the lighter side, perhaps a power salad. There is one caveat here. Miss Bowers has a crouton guy. He's not any crouton guy. I guess I shouldn't even say that. He is the crouton guy. He's a crouton disruptor. So he specializes in artisanal croutons, makes them fresh, bakes them, seasons them, toasts them, has a very meticulous process. And so what we were thinking is he would provide the croutons, and then on Tuesday morning, once the croutons reached optimal crispness, we'd deliver them to you, and then from there, your team would need to delicately integrate them into the larger salad structure. We just want to ensure that it's meticulous, it's intentional. We want these croutons and the greater salad experience to be elevated for these executives. We don't want to boil the ocean here, but we're touching base on salad strategy, Ms. Bowers and I, later today. We want to get aligned. Would love to talk with you before that sync happens, and then I'll sync with Ms. Bowers on next steps. Give me a call, and we'll make this salad happen together. Thanks.
End segment. Linked in malarkey.
I'm a business professional that conducts serious business, and therefore I spend time discussing business on LinkedIn, a platform for business people. Today's LinkedIn post of the century comes from a marketing/entrepreneur influencer type that shared a video with a copy, "Work hard versus work smart," above it. The video is footage of a bike race where a camera is following a racer who's towards the back of the pack, it seems, and these racers are on top of a big hill. And this biker, he stops pedaling and he kind of kicks out his feet and he hops up and he puts his groin on the bike seat. And then he gets into this plank position to get super flat. And so then he's just going down this hill like fucking Superman. And because of wind resistance and not having to touch the pedals with his feet, the dude is flying past his competition. He's getting ahead of everyone, and he's going to win the race because he's working smarter than everybody, not harder. So that is interesting. Like I get it. He's not even pedaling in a bike race. He's working smarter, but I just think it's funny. That's what we're going to make a business lesson into. I think this is why I'm never going to have success on LinkedIn, because I'm dogging this post, but it has 50,000 likes, 1,000 comments, 3,000 people reposting it. People love it. And the comments are killing me. They're saying, "This inspired me. I love it. This video inspired you, sir." I think you need to find inspiration in other areas. Hey, being inspired on LinkedIn, I don't know, maybe, but like this video of a guy Supermaning a bike is inspiring to you. Very interesting. Using your brain, simply brilliant, another comment said. An important lesson for teams. Thank you for sharing. This is an important lesson for your team. I want to be in this meeting where this manager pulls up this video to his team and is just like, "Guys, we need to stop working hard. We need to work smart. Let's all get on our collective bikes via our crotch and Superman down this hill." What is that even? Like, okay, we've got a marketing plan that we need to build out, and it needs to be really good. But rather than like, you know, I don't know, working hard on this, how can we hop up on our crotch and Superman this? Wow, very useful, somebody else said. Is that useful to you? Because I don't know, man. I'm watching this video, and I've been in marketing a long time. There are a lot of better marketers out there than me, but I don't understand how this is useful. But I guess you do you, man. You do you. This is why LinkedIn is the best, because somewhere some manager of some poor team, like, they pulled this video up and he or she was like, see this? This is what we need. How can we work harder, guys? How can we Superman down this hill? You guys are working hard, but you're not working smart. And I need you to stop pedaling the bike. And I need you to crotch ride the bike. I mean, this guy, first of all, I think anything like this guy has obviously rode down this hill before. So I think the lesson here, if there is one, is like, be prepared, know when you have a chance to work smart versus work hard. But, I don't know. I just think that, when life gives you a hill, there's only so many, there's only so many hills in your career that you can crotch ride. I've said that before and I'll say it again. There's only so many hills in your career that you can crotch ride. So LinkedIn is serious. It's for business people only. If you're not in business, don't even try to get on LinkedIn. This content isn't for you. Okay? That's another thing. There are a lot of people that aren't serious about business like me. And this is serious content for serious people. Okay? This is so dumb. What are you doing? I'm going to watch it one more time. Okay, I'm going to watch it one more time just because I do love it. He's in it. The other thing is he's got a beard, and then he kind of goes. Here he goes. Okay, he's passing 4 people right in a row.
End the segment, damn it. The H responds.
The H responds is where I read feedback from our millions and millions of listeners. If you want to give feedback for the pod, if you liked what you heard, if you want to recommend a topic to discuss in future pods, you can email the entire Chuffa team at chuffapod@gmail.com. That's CHUFFAPOD@gmail.com. Now, of course, this is our first episode, so I wouldn't expect any. Oh my gosh, I do have a feedback email. Wow, this is a pleasant surprise. Let's open it up and read it here. It's from Dale from Dallas. Dale writes, "Whoa, Conti, it took you over a decade to produce a podcast, and the best you could do is a lukewarm grocery store take and a voicemail about rats? Like the city of Houston that you love so much, I'm hot and underwhelming. Boring." And he used 18 O's in the word boring. P.S. Lucha was thick and not in a good way. Trading him was the right call. Well, Dale from Dallas, you can go to hell. You can go straight to hell. I'm not going to tolerate that on the Chuffa platform. This is a positive platform. You hear me, Dale? This is Chuffa. We lift. We build community. And if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. Go listen to a song. Go listen to a Beatles song. Go listen to a podcast that features celebrities or comedians or informative people or people who have interesting stories, or a pod that just follows a niche and stays focused on one topic, okay? I don't know what to tell you, but Dale from Dallas, thanks for nothing. And hopefully next episode, I have some better listener feedback from the H Response.
End segment. End pod. End transmission. End the fun. Until next time, Conti out.
No HR, no need for Toby. Since free, no waking homie. I ain't hoping for no trophy. I'm still focused on my homies. If you knew me back in 03, then I know you know me.
Chuffa's music is crafted by Dave Price, a talented Austin-based musician. Find him on Instagram at dpriceviolin.